everybody. Welcome. First, I want to just express my gratitude to our puppy raising team and volunteer team for bringing us all together today, and all of you amazing puppy raisers for coming in. I know that some of you traveled from far and wide to be here, so it's really exciting to see everybody here and definitely energizing when we have this community on campus. So exciting to see everybody. Today we're here, I'm up here, my dear friend Emilee's in the back. She'll be coming up a little bit later to talk about canine fitness. But we're here today to talk about the freshman experience. So specifically dorm life, and even more specifically just that first day when they arrive on campus and what that routine looks like after that. And Emilee will be talking about canine fitness program, selection process, and their daily participation. Okay, so first we're going to talk about canine care. So these are the team members that are taking care of your dogs, the day-to-day needs that they have once they come in for training. So if you have participated in freshman orientation, you know what happens up until the point where you hand your dog off. So you know all of that side of things. So, you know, what's the mystery? What happens after you hand that leash over to one of our amazing volunteers or staff members? What's next? So there is a small army of people very eagerly waiting to meet them, and that is mostly our canine care team, as well as some of our instructors are on campus that day, and or apprentices. So there's a variety of different roles. So our canine care team leads, so these are canine keepers, our team leads, they are preparing for their arrival well ahead of time. They are making preparations that their assigned dorms are ready, set, go, and all their needs are ready for them. So we are ready. It's just like anticipating the excitement and just hurry up and wait for them to come. It's a very exciting time as we're waiting for them. Then we have our apprentices and instructors who are there that day on freshman orientation day, work very closely with the team leads. So they're working together to make sure the dogs are landing comfortably. They're easing in the dorms and they're making some new friends, and we'll get into all those specifics a little bit later. Then we have our wing canine keeper. So this shift assignment are the individuals who will routinely be working and spending all of their working time with your dog and this string of dogs. So we do have assignments, so the same team members work generally with the same groups of dogs. So throughout their duration of training here on campus, they're comfortable and familiar with the same few faces. Is this going in and out? It's a little bumpy. Yeah. I'm gonna try. I'll just hold my arms up, not take the wire. So they get to know your dogs very well and get to love them and appreciate them for all of their, quirks and all the things that they bring to us, same as you guys do. We get very attached to them. Then during the freshman period, they do need extra support because all of the foundations that you've given them in puppy raising, they step into the door and they try to tell us that they forgot everything, that they don't know, they never learned a thing, they don't know anything. And it takes a good week to kind of establish those boundaries and show them we're going to do all those same things here, and then it's like it clicks in and they're like, oh, okay, all right, yes, they know the tricks, they know what we're supposed to be doing. So it takes that extra group of support to accomplish that in the setting of dorm life. So that's what our freshman helpers are there for. So they move around with whatever freshman group is there. So every 4 to 6 weeks they're changing assignments and focusing in on those freshmen. So there's extra sets of hands on a daily basis to provide the dog's needs in the dormitories. Then, like yourselves, we have amazing volunteers on campus. And those come in the shape of our freshman support volunteers. So we do have a particular shift designed for the most active time of the day, at 9 to 12, where there's cleaning, the instructors are in and out, fitness is coming in and out, taking dogs. There's just a lot going on, so they really need extra support to kind of stay cool and calm and get out and about a little bit. So our freshman support volunteers help us with that. Then me, behind the scenes, just making sure everybody has what they need to get their jobs done. And on freshman orientation day specifically, really focusing in on making sure that we have all their diets in place, any medications they may come in, or any other odds and ends, just making sure that the team's able to move smoothly. So, arrival. We've done the leash pass off, and we feel that. I tell you, most of my canine keepers don't even want to look out the window and see what's happening because they feel it for you. So, sometimes I'll sneak the new team members over to just see what's going on, and oftentimes they don't want to come back because they know how emotional it is for you guys, and they feel that, and they just want to be there for the dogs upon arrival. So once that leash is handed over and the team member is bringing them over either to the Canine University or Assessment Center, so if they are slated for the guide program, they're going to go to the Canine University or residence halls, and if they're slated for service dog, they're going to go to the Assessment Center. And their first stop is a weigh-in. So I'm sure as puppy raisers, you guys are doing lots of weigh-ins, even just for monthly preventatives and things. So we really need that starting point as well. So they get their weigh-in, we know where they're starting from, we do a body condition score assessment, determine if there's any kind of diet adjustments, but really it's that starting point. Their weights can fluctuate quite a bit during training, especially during freshman time. They're getting heavily rewarded and treated for all these new skills that they're learning, even just the settling aspect in their dorms. So the weights can skyrocket a little bit. So we need to make sure we're on top of that. Where did they start? How are they fluctuating throughout the process? The other reason is that when all of our dogs come in, we do a deworming treatment, much like you're doing preventatives, and then we continue with preventatives as well, so we get that weight to make sure everybody's at a nice clean slate from all the places they're coming from to keep everybody on campus nice and happy and healthy. So then much of this is what's happening after that. So that small army of people are there as your dogs are kind of trickling in every 5-10 minutes, and there's a lot of cuddling going on. So you can see a couple of our volunteers, Jill and Alice, and one of our instructors, Amanda, just like hunkered down in those dorms. And they're doing activities with them as well. They're showing them how to use the water system, the Verlin doors, and just feeling comfortable in that space. But as you see, there's a lot of like hugs and licks and kisses as well going on, and that's great for everybody. We enjoy it too. But when you are dropping them off, you write those really sweet tags and attach it to these big giant bones. So that is one of the first things. They get that big giant milk bone, they get their little tag read to them, and then usually that tag, we keep it, if you can see those little, on their kennels, those little plastic kind of folders. Most of the time they get stuck in there, and it stays with them throughout their duration of training. And I know it's a really special thing that our staff and volunteers, as they're kind of, going about their day, they're like, oh my gosh, I just read that tag that, their puppy raiser wrote, it's so sweet. So that does stay with them, and it does brighten our day as well, so it's really special. But we're introducing them to their bed. They all have raised Corunda beds, so, just getting comfortable with that, and then we'll get into some of the specific training elements as well. So, I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with the Lixit, if you talk about that in puppy raising at all, but essentially their water system is like, keep my arm up, sorry. It is like a water spout that when they lick, it releases water, kind of like a big gerbil. We have a pretty simple process in training them, and that is smothering it with peanut butter. It doesn't take a whole lot. Peanut butter, we go through a lot of peanut butter. I order a lot of peanut butter weekly. But a little bit of peanut butter smothered on the tip of that Lixit, and usually the first thing when the dog walks in, just a little tap tap, or maybe taking a Crunchio to kind of lure their nose over to that, and they're like, well, sure, I'll lick this peanut butter. And then it's like, oh, what's coming out of this thing? And they get it pretty quickly, but then it's a matter of like consistency. Will they consistently drink out of it? So we do have a staged process where the first week the dogs have complete access to water buckets. We have big water buckets in their dorms, and then we are smothering that Lixit in peanut butter every day after cleaning time, and we're keeping an eye on their use, seeing who is willingly using it over the water bucket, or who is still just, oh, sure, I'll take the peanut butter, but I'm going to drink out of the bucket. Then week 2, that's where we start to wean off, so they will only have access to the water buckets overnight. They do have access to water buckets all the time when they're out in the yard or at different times of the day as well. But we start to remove that, so really that's their first choice place to drink from. And then we are doing peanut butter every other day. to see and continuing to monitor. So are we still licking it, drinking water from it when there's not peanut butter? And then week 3 is really just a full observation period. So we want to ensure that the dogs, we're seeing them drink out of the lick sits, that we're not seeing any other signs that they aren't, such as like when they have access to a water bucket, they're completely tanking that water bucket. If we suspect that they aren't adequately using the system, then we will we'll rewind. We'll do another go at the lick sit training. And if we're still not really confident about their water use from that, then they'll just keep a bucket, and that's completely fine. All in all, we maybe have like 5 to 10% of our dogs that need to continue use buckets. Most of them get it pretty quick and easy. Sometimes a little bit down the road, if we've determined they need a water bucket and maybe a month or 2 into training, we'll give it another go. And without all the other things that they're learning during their freshman period, they're a little more receptive to that concept. And we'll see. I just click it. Does the video go?
I think you have to wait just a sec.
So I just have some videos to demonstrate the use of the lick sit. So you can see very easily, this is freshman orientation day, our most recent one with our service dog string that came in a couple weeks ago. I apologize to the team. I said I'm going to be creeping around taking videos and pictures of you, because I need some content. But in the first video you saw our canine keeper team member, Emilee, was just offering some encouraging words. I'm sure she just did a little tap tap. And they got it pretty quickly, and they just started, going for it. And then the other dog on the other side, you could see just a better view of how that system works. So the next big thing is the Berlin door training. And if you're not familiar with the Berlin door, it's because we made it up. It is a doggy door. The lure goes, and I think there's facts to this because the gentleman who oversaw the construction on our campus, his name was Berlin. And I don't know if you created them or whatever, but we call them Berlin doors, and he will forever live on in our memory. So the Berlin doors, they're just doggy doors, and they're double-sided, and the dogs have to be able to push themselves through. All of the dogs, all of the dorms are set up where they have an inside, their main inside living dorm space. And then through the doggy door, they have an outside space that is equal size to the inside space. So they can move freely in and out as they wish, or we can lock those doors when we're doing something like cleaning or run time. But otherwise they have free access to roam in and out. But it can be a little bit of a weird concept for them at first, because I'm sure you've done a lot of work of not pushing through doors, and they're like, push through this door. So some of the dogs will just plow right through it, no problem, it's easy peasy for them, but some of the dogs are a little more hesitant, so it takes a little more work. So, just a simple process of reading the dog, seeing how they're feeling about it, and it might take opening both of those doors completely wide and maybe 1 or 2 people calling the dog back and forth, a couple call sessions back and forth, some treats. Peanut butter doesn't work as well for this, but lots of Crunchios and happy voices. And then slowly closing the doors a little bit more, so that way they're really getting the idea of pushing themselves through it. And we have been known to crawl through Berlin doors ourselves when necessary. I can attest to that. I have been there. Whatever it takes, we will do. And then we just have a couple videos to demonstrate. So again, this is freshman orientation day, and you can see our volunteer Alice on the inside of the dorm and the dogs on the outside, just doing a little recall, luring, and calling their name. That usually does the trick. Have little windows as well, so if the door is shut, they can just see you through it. Come on. And they'll want to come to you enough that they'll do it, and they're happy about it. And then you can see those that pair there. They're freshman orientation day, new roommates too. So sometimes it helps to have a friend, one that's a little more confident about it, and their buddy, is a little more hesitant about it, and they're like, oh, sure, we'll do that together. But this can take some time. So with both lick sit training, that's a process in the Berlin door. It's another thing we keep an eye on. And sometimes the instructors will also participate and work with and help some of the dogs that are more hesitant on that skill. So settling. I'm assuming this is a concept that everybody is familiar with. I think you had, or you're having a session on settling as well. So in the context of our dorms, what that means, and this is just a really great candid shot that I got. It's perfect timing. We have, again, freshman orientation day, our volunteer Jill, and our service dog instructor Kate, just working on settling in the wing, and you can see how all these new babies, all these new roommates, they've all just kind of, maybe they've just met each other that day, and how nicely that they are sitting and hanging out and being comfortable in their dorm space. So what they're doing is the out of the kennel settling. So they are rewarding the calm, quiet dogs, and then any dogs that are, and this was really a fantastic group. It made our job very easy. They settled very well. They were very comfortable with the transition. So the process worked very well with them. But if the dogs need a little more one-on-one attention, back to one of those first photos where we're sitting inside the dorms with them, we'll do that. Some other things that may also help, and our volunteers will do this as well. I know we have one volunteer who's often here all day doing a lot of active things, and then he comes over to Canine University in the afternoon and he just pulls up a chair, sits in the middle of the wing, and reads to the dogs for a couple hours. He gets a lot of reading done, but it's really sweet to see, and the dogs just all just calm and quiet, and that's a busy time of the day because all their friends are going out to play, but everybody inside is just listening to Richard read about world history and puts them to sleep. So those are so that's a really important skill, just to make sure that everybody can be calm, comfortable, and then if we have anybody that needs additional support, some of the dogs will spend time maybe rather in a crate environment or on tie down, for instance, something that maybe they're a little more comfortable, familiar with in puppy raising homes. So we'll just work on that individually. So arguably the dog's favorite part of the day, making friends, introductions. So this is a really big part of our day because we need them, they would like to make friends, and we also need them to make friends so they can all fit comfortably into the dormitories. So where do we start? Because we get about 25 new dogs coming in at once, and on the canine keeper side of it, we don't know them yet. We don't know about their personalities. So that survey that you guys fill out before freshman orientation, our team leads do a really great job combing through that, taking the information that you've given them about your dog's personalities, likes, dislikes, play style, and then particularly the one question about is there any dogs coming in with this string that your dog already plays with. Sometimes that gives us a couple to start with, but usually not enough to really get everybody going. So it's a little bit of a skilled guessing game, right? My team leads are using all of those clues and information about what you've said about your dog to try to match them best we can. And Jordan did a fantastic job. She's the young lady on the outside of the gate there. She did a really nice job with this string. I think almost all of her guesses worked out very, very well. So much kudos to her. She ran a very good freshman orientation day. But it's really just a get-to-know-them period. So we'll spend the first few hours of their time once everybody's in, or really we get enough of them in to start, testing some things out, mixing and matching them. So in the first picture, you see there's the black dog on the outside of the gate, and there's two other dogs on the inside. So the two on the inside have already been introduced. They're probably already become roommates. They're loving each other. They're having a great time. So they've already been introduced. They're a happy pair. We're really satisfied and happy with their relationship, and so are they. So it's a win-win. And then she's looking to add a third into the mix. So first she's doing an introduction through the gate. So, any immediate kind of oh, nope, this isn't going to work out, then we can, separate them real quick. Most of the time it's just an energy match, finding the right match for everybody. So once we determine everybody's giving good positive body language and good signals, and we're comfortable to let them in, there's a team on the inside of the play yard that recall the dogs away, because you don't want them all just, colliding into each other when you open the gate, or running back down the hallway, and then they're all trying to play in this, in a smaller space. So the team on the inside has recalled the other dogs away from the gate, and then Jordan is opening that latch to let her dog come in, and you can see she's ready to go. So then I just snapped a couple quick clips of that play. So the first one is this initial play, and we have the team members ready, just observing their play styles, ready to moderate, intervene if necessary. What we can see is, it's going pretty well. There might be a little bit of mismatch in energy. It could be because the first two dogs are a little tired because they've already been out playing, and the third dog is like, woo, I'm ready to play. So we'll just continue to watch that. So, but if you, I know it's short, but if you had caught it, at one point, one of the apprentice instructors, Giselle, had done a recall. An important skill while they're playing that they're still going to be able to recall and listen to us. So that's part of that moderating the play group. So we're not just watching them and like, oh, whatever happens, happens. We're managing the groups. So if play gets a little too heightened or we see somebody throwing some signals that they're maybe not so comfortable with the play that somebody's offering them, that we're able to recall them over to kind of give them a break, give them a pause, and keep things level and easy. So the team determined that this was a safe group, this was a good group, so they added in toys. We don't want to start with toys, we don't know them yet, we don't know their feelings about sharing toys. So they said, okay, let's add some toys, and that really actually helped the energy level quite a bit, gave them something else to kind of focus on. So everybody's got a toy in their mouth, they're running around, they're so happy. So they're enjoying their time there. So I think overall, in the end, this was a good group, but I think we ultimately found a better group for our Black Lab friend there, because he's got a much higher energy level, maybe different play style than the other guys. So that's it. It's not just like what works. It's like, well, what's best? What do the dogs really enjoy? So sometimes, even if the group is good, if we're like, I think we could do better, I think we could find a better match that the dogs really enjoy. We want this. It's not just about getting them out, going to the bathroom, because they really rather play than go to the bathroom when they're all out there together. It's about having an enriching, enjoying experience for the dogs, and something that is still has good boundaries, but is outside the context of training. So they get all their training with their instructors and those sessions, and this is just their time to be a dog and enjoy other dog company and be silly and have fun, and we love it. Oops, it's got play with again. And these are just some great pictures of some of our dogs we love so much. Not all of these are freshman orientation day, they're just ones I've snapped over some time there, but just to show some of their experiences. So, and I tried so hard to, my timing was off, to sneak into one of the wings when all the dogs were settled and laying on their beds, but it's best to not walk into a wing when all the dogs are settled and laying on their beds, because then they're all up and wondering, what are we doing? And then of course when I wasn't trying to get a picture, it would have been successful. So just some of the dogs just hanging out in their dorms, laying on their beds, just wondering what I'm doing in there, and just enjoying some of their playtime, whether it's in a group or it's one-on-one. It's really up to the dogs. Sometimes they just would rather have us all to themselves, and they, rather than in a play group, they want to have one-on-one time with a staff member instead. So just always whatever is best for the dogs. So what's next? So, that's really all the first day. That's the first few hours. There's a lot happening. So we really kind of cut it off at like 12, 1 o'clock. We're not trying any more new groups, new combinations, new things. Like, it's time for everybody to rest. We've gotten as much accomplished as we feel is beneficial for the dogs, and we just leave it at that. So really, like 1 o'clock, it's kind of like, all right, settle time. And I know with this last freshman string, it was like lights off, nobody's home, everybody was quiet, and we just kind of stayed away for a little while because they just needed to they needed to decompress, have some chill time, sleep a little bit without meeting new people or new dogs and all those things. So all that action, settle time, and then they're really getting into the routine, then it's run time again, and their first feeding, that's an adventure. So feeding 25 dogs, in a very systematic method for the first time in dorms, it's a lot of work. It takes a good week to 2 weeks for everybody to really kind of fall into that routine. It's just, we're asking a lot of them. It's a lot. We know that they did all those things with you guys, but doing it in the context of the dorms and around everybody and all the other things that are popping up, we know it's a lot to ask and it takes time, so we always expect that, week to 2 weeks to get into the swing of things. Day 2 is, again, really just the routine. So our canine keeper team is here at 5 a.m. To start taking care of the dog. So they just run through the routine of the day. That's running, feeding, all of those things. Maybe not that many feedings in a day, you know what I mean? So they're just getting into the swing of the routine. Maybe if there were some additional groups that we wanted to accomplish, or dogs that we felt ran nicely together on the first day but weren't ready to live together, maybe day 2 is a good day for them to move in and see how that goes. But really just a much more low-key day to get into the swing of things. Then day 3, that's Monday, that is assessment day. So that's their behavior checklist, freshman assessments. If you're a little familiar from like walk and talks and things, and Emilee will dive more into that as well. So that's a really big day for them as well. Everyone's going through their assessments. It's still only day 3, so we're pretty much laying low, just going through the routine of things, helping make sure they get comfortable, just doing those skills with the lick sits and the Berlin door, and making sure those groups are good fits for them, and letting them focus on their assessment time. And that's when Canine Fitness will make their selections as well, as Emilee will get into. For our Dogs and Service Dog program, the way that their program is set up is they really meet their instructors like right off the bat. So they are starting training pretty much immediately. And with Guide Dog, the way that their timeline is and when they come in for training, it'll be about 3 weeks before they meet their instructors. So it's really primarily our canine keepers, volunteers, and fitness team that are focusing on the dogs before they start their training period. All right, well, I'm going to pass it over to Emilee, who is not nervous at all. Everybody give a big applause.
Hi, I'm Emilee. I am, how do I change? Okay, sorry, hello. I'm Emilee. I am the lead canine fitness instructor over in the Canine Fitness Center, and I'm joined by our fearless leader, Rebecca, and Ava's in the back. Lauren is on PTO, so she was not able to be here, but there's a total of 4 of us. Today, we're going to go over our selection process, our curriculum, an overview of their day with us, their fitness benchmarks, and some exercises. So, some of you guys have been puppy raisers for a long time, and some of you guys are new puppy raisers. So, I'm just going to go over kind of how the program began and how it's going now. So, when the fitness program first started, it was just purely a fitness program. We assessed our own dogs and we picked them for cardio, endurance, gait, and weight. And we just kind of sprinkled in some confidence here and there to try to work with the exercises. However, from January to now, we have kind of made it like a fitness enhancement program. So we are purely confidence, and then building in, helping them build their confidence through fun fitness activities that's meant to build their confidence and enhance their strength at the same time. These are the same workouts, but they're enhanced and modified for confidence building. So, as Rebecca said, when they come in on their assessment day, on Monday when they come in for their assessment day, they're graded by GNR, which is the Genetics and Reproductions team, on a scale of 1 to 9, 1 being the lowest and 9 being the highest. This is a standardized assessment that all the guide dog schools have to go to in order to be accredited. This is the same thing as your guys' walk and talks and your puppy assessments. They test them on about 40, 45-ish things. Fitness attends this, and we take our own notes. So when we come in, we're looking at 8 things. So to bounce back, the reason that the program changed to be mainly confidence is that we were having a lot of transfer rates coming through the school, and they were able to categorize these things into 8 different reasons. There's strangers, noise sensitivity, body sensitivity, body handling, fear of the fan, underfootings, new situations, and novel objects. So when we go to the assessments, we're taking notes on those things because that's how we're going to build their fitness plans. And then we are inputting the scores from the assessment day. GNR puts them into a database called IWDR, and this is the International Working Dog Registry. So their scores are the official scores that are going in for your guys' dogs. And when we take the notes, we're taking them again on those 8 things. We'll then put them into a data spreadsheet and evaluate who needs the curriculum the most. So the dogs, going back to, they score from 1 to 9. We take all of the dogs that score 5 and unders. So then we evaluate who needs the curriculum the most and then divide the dogs between Lauren, Ava, myself, and a varsity volunteer team. So to recap, we attend assessment day, we take the scores from IWDR, put them into our own Excel data sheet, and that's kind of how we can process how long we've had them and for what reasons. Evaluate who needs the curriculum the most, and then divide the dogs between the volunteer team and the 3 of us. Curriculum. So what exactly is the individualized plans? We keep them for the reasons that they score low on. So if a dog named Sasha scored low on body handling, body sensitivity, and noise, we then will create her program to fit the things that she scored low on. The first week, we're exposing them to all different things. They're being exposed to new equipment, the peanuts, the wobble boards, the treadmills, the pool, textures, underfootings, people, the volunteers that they're going to be working with, where we then define a starting point for them. So some of the dogs can come in and start as intermediate for the pivots, but they may need to start as a beginner for the wobble boards. So that's how we make the individual fitness plans. And then the second week, we're putting them to the test. So we're going to follow our plans and see what the dogs can do and tweak them throughout, which tweaking is pretty much what we do the 3rd and 4th week. So from that base plan, we are tweaking what we did in the beginning. As they're doing better, we're adding difficulty, we're increasing the reps, and we're adding new exercises. And then we come to our first 4-week benchmark test that fitness does, and I will go over that in just a second. So an overview of their day in fitness. We have all of your guys' dogs 4 days a week for an hour at a time, and within that hour, they're going to go through an agility room, a physiotherapy room, and a treadmill, or depending on the day, they might do the underwater treadmill or the pool. And if this video shows, this is Mr. Brewski on the treadmill. It's only 2 seconds, but he loved it, and he loved his little stick. So agility. This is our proprioception and cardio/endurance room. Do you guys know what proprioception is?
No.
Hi, yes. Okay. So proprioception is basically the dog's awareness of their body in space. So a lot of the dogs come in with what we call 2-wheel drive, and they're paying attention to what they're doing with their front feet and what's going on ahead of them, but not necessarily to what's going on in their sides or their back feet. So if they're going to be a guide dog, they're going to have somebody behind them that potentially can't see very well at all. So they need to know what's going on behind them as well. So one of the things that we start doing this with is the Cavalettis are the orange cup or the yellow cones that you guys see. Oh, and here, I brought them. The Cavalettis are these. So it's actually the 3rd one because the dog that we were just doing them with is able to jump over them. But when they first come in, we start them at the first level, and we'll walk through them with the dogs. And the idea is to see how many times, or if at all, that they're knocking their back feet into the Cavalettis, or just knocking them over like a bull in a china shop, which happens a lot more than you would think. So it takes about 3 to 4-ish days for them to be like, oh, hey, I have to think about all 4 of my feet, or I'm going to continue to smack them into these poles. So once they figure it out and we can see that they're actively picking up all 4 of their feet and going through, we then change it from a proprioception activity to a cardio workout. And we have 3 of these going along the agility room, and somebody will stand at each side and treat the dogs as they're coming through, and then we just gain the reps from that. Another thing that we have in there is the arm recalls. This is going to be good for small spaces. We also sometimes will change the flooring out underneath. And this is going to be a cardiovascular workout and building muscles on all 4 of their feet. The weave poles are in the back. I don't know. They look better on my laptop. I don't know if you can see them very well. when they first come in, we've got those orange, just the plain poles, and they walk around them. The idea is that they will touch their sides and walk over the black parts that are holding the poles up. Once they're okay with that, and we're not seeing any body sensitivity issues, we then will add in the arches and the metals and noises, and we'll add those things in one at a time and see how they're doing with that. Because sometimes they're okay with the metals, and we add the noise in, and they're like, yeah, no. So then we'll back a step and go back to try that again. The tunnel is in there. We've got, that one's curved because our dogs yesterday were fine doing it. But when they first come in, a lot of them are like, oh my gosh, it's really dark in there. I can't go in there, I can't do it. So we'll then shorten it, and we can actually pretty much just shorten it to this height and or this width and treat them on either side as they're going through it, and then we'll slowly bring it out, and then we can make it into like an S shape or a C shape, and then they can't see the other side. And then lastly, we've got the high jump. This is mostly for cardio. It's going to build up strength in their back legs, but we can make this into an underfooting workout because we change what they're landing on each time that they do it. This is the second room that they'll go into. This is the physiotherapy room. This is mostly our confidence building room. They're going to be exposed to tons of stuff in here, from body handling, underfootings, movable objects. We have weird noises. We have a dinosaur that sings to them and like singing turkeys and stuff, and we just switch them in and out depending on the dog. We've got the service dog and guide dog vest in there. Movable objects, as you already said. Sometimes we'll put them in t-shirts. But just like us when we go to the gym, we don't want to work out the exact same things every day. Also, that would make their individual fitness plans very boring. So we've got a front leg day, a back leg day, a core day, and a full body day. So the exercises change throughout, and then that also means that their equipment changes out as well. This is the treadmill. So when your guys' dogs come in, if they've been on a treadmill before, we know it because they'll just jump right on and they are perfect, and we love that. However, for the dogs that don't do that, this is one of our best confidence building tools. The treadmill makes a little bit of noise and food gets stuck in it, just honestly, and it just starts going, "Rrr." And sometimes the dogs come in and they're like, no, and that's fine. So that makes it a really good confidence building tool. When they don't like it, we can start to slowly bring them onto the treadmill, and we'll treat them at the front, and then we'll move away from it for that day once they are showing that they're fine to get up there. And then the next day or maybe a day later, we'll have the treadmill on and we'll treat them at the end so they get used to the noise that the treadmill makes, and then we'll try to get them on the treadmill maybe the next day. If they absolutely hate the treadmill after like a week or a week and a half of trying it, they don't have to get on it. It's not a requirement. We have a backyard that has equipment outside, or we can take them for a walk, or we've got a long hallway. However, the dogs that do like getting on it, again, we don't keep the dogs like for cow hocking, which is a reason that we would have kept them beforehand. Do you guys know what cow hocking is? No. Okay. No? Okay. So it's lefty-righty up front, and then it's like actual cow hocking in the back. And this is pretty much just an indication of not having enough muscling in their inner legs. So they explain it to me as it's a dog's version of slouching, where they're just sitting like this. But when we help them get on the treadmill and they're able to do the incline, they can build the muscling in their leg and sit properly. So the dogs that come in and have cow hocking and are okay with getting on the treadmill, we can put it at an incline and have the dogs walk up the treadmill, and it'll build those musclings, and we can help in 4 weeks we can't correct the cow hocking, but we can help to lessen it. Other times we get dogs that come back and might be a little chunky. So we then will keep the treadmill low and just have them go faster on it and help burn off some weight. For the dogs that really don't like the noise of the treadmill, we can bring them into the underwater treadmill. Once it's full with water, it makes zero noise whatsoever. So we've had plenty of dogs that have been a heck no to going in a treadmill, but been absolutely fine to go into the underwater treadmill. Okay, these are the dogs that are new to activities. You'll see that I use different dogs for these because the dog that you're about to see is only in the second week, and we have not successfully got on under our wobble board yet. But this is one of our service dogs that just came in, and you'll see in the video that this wobble board has a half circle underneath it that gives it this full 360 turn, we can take that off and put, those are called paw pods, so we can put those underneath it and stabilize it. Let me see if it'll play. He's a little stiff. You can tell he's not super comfortable doing this, but he's doing it, so we're happy with that. And then this next one is the same dog. So we've got an intermediate, or a beginner, intermediate, and hard way to do every single exercise that we do. So this is the beginner, which this was at the end of last week, and one of the reasons we kept him was for underfootings. So him even getting on these balance discs was amazing. So I'll show you that. These balance discs move a little bit, as you can see, and they've also got textures on them. So if a dog doesn't like the balance disc, it could be for either the texture or the movement, and it's our job to figure out which one. And then this is the advanced equipment use. This is, again, different dogs, but this is what it looks like when the ball is underneath it and we're not stabilizing it at all for the dog. So this is going to be building up their core, it's going to be building up their confidence by immersing. I'm glad they turned off the audio for that, because I went, oh, good job, and he popped off. And then this next one, so the double balance disc is the beginner to this next exercise. Okay, so our fitness benchmark test. So every 4 weeks we have a fitness benchmark test with the dogs that had just come through the program. So this is going to be the same concept as their initial assessments that they have when they come in, but we only test the 8 things that they're here for, not the 42 things. So it's a same concept, but different course and different environment. The volunteer walks the dogs, and then we grade them. These don't go in IWDR, these just go, our grades go into our Excel sheet, and we can track how they're doing in the program. If you want to take a second and read that. Okay. And then this is a real-time clip of our Excel sheet. So this is our February string. I chose this because we had a couple of dogs go all the way through the 12 weeks. This is the stuff that they scored on. So just looking at it, the blue like BCL scores, we automatically are keeping the 4s, and then we'll go through and keep the 5s and go from there. So this is a whole string. This is our 4-week selections for that round. So we definitely kept Electa because she had severe underfootings and then the mild new situations. That means that her individual fitness plan had underfootings in it every day and the new situations every other day or so. And then another dog, Allie, we kept her. She had the moderate in underfootings, moderate in body handling, and moderate in body sensitivity. So we ended up keeping her as well, and her individual fitness plan would have had that stuff in it every day as well. Okay, so what's the next one? Okay, so this is the 4 weeks. So they have now had their individual fitness plans. We've had them for 4 weeks, and then we're just about to do our 4-week benchmark with them. And this is how they checked out after that. So a few of them stayed, but there's a big difference between all of these yellows and reds to what we were able to turn green. And we are following a strict outline of how we can grade them. So these are true to it. You can see we did not have a fan out there at that point, so that wasn't tested. But yes, so this is how they came in. This is their 4-week. We ended up keeping Comet, Electa, Honor, and Carla. Just full transparency, Allie had a medical reason that we all decided not to keep her for the next 5 weeks. So this next one you're going to see, we kept Comet, Electa, Honor, and Carla. So then we would have ended up keeping Honor for noise, even if that changed before. So I think before he had a very mild noise. Well, we worked a ton on the issues that he came in with. And if they have different issues throughout, that's fine. We can then turn their individual fitness plans over to what they're having trouble with now. And then we kept Honor for the 2 mild and moderate. I think I'm reading that right. So then their 4 weeks has now passed, and we have our 8-week benchmark with them. So Pete and Carla were then able to grade out, and they went straight over to their, I think they were in guide dog. They went over to guide dog. They were not working with us anymore. We had a few spots from the March string, I think, left over, so we ended up deciding to keep Honor and Comet, and they went through the full 12 weeks with us. And Honor ended up still having the mile, but we never keep them longer than 12 weeks, because at the 12-week point, they're going off campus with their trainers. It's much harder to schedule with them. And truthfully, after 12 weeks, we've given them what we can, and continuing probably wouldn't be helpful for the dog either. And then, lastly, just to recap, this program just started in January, like for how long we're keeping them. And as you guys know, for them to go through their whole training, it's about 5 to 6 months. So we are just now getting to the point where some of these dogs are going through and graduating. And thus far, we've had 3 dogs from this past big class or 2 that have gone through and graduated as guide or service, who would have then probably been transferred out for school and solo when they first came in. Do you guys have any questions? Yes.
If the pups are spayed and neutered before they come into IFT, do you keep the girls' roommates together and the boys, or do they be together?
Okay. Yes, so that's the challenge as well. So who's intact, who's been spayed, neutered, all those things. So that's definitely taken into account. So, you know, we don't mix boys and girls who are both intact. We're not GNR, so we don't do that. It's a very delicate balance to keep them away from each other. But if one or the other is, you know, if we have an intact female and an altered male, as long as, you know, they're doing socially appropriate things, it's fine. It can definitely be a little more challenging with the intact males, or just trying to keep the intact males with just intact males. That's a lot of male energy. So when we're able to mix them up, we do.
You said that service dogs start training right away, but guide dogs wait 3 weeks. Why is it different?
Yeah, so they just have a different style in the way that their class cycle goes. So the way that we receive, so when the freshmen come in for guide dog, the class started like the Monday prior. So students arrive on Sunday, actually this Sunday we have students arriving. Students arrive Sunday, Monday is match day. And then we have that whole week to, you know, the dogs that have been matched leave the dorms, and anybody that is going to be passed back or moved over to another team for a future class, we'll move them out of that wing, and we will do a deep clean of that wing, scrub everything top to bottom, so it gives us good, you know, quarterly deep cleans there. And then all of the freshmen come in to that new string. And then the trainers are going through class, and then when they're finished with their last group of dogs, they come and meet their dogs. So I think probably the design in the past was to be able to have that flow of kennel space, because if we wouldn't have space for them, essentially. So, and it has a bit to do with the fitness program as well. So the timeline of the dogs coming in is so the fitness team has a little more accessibility, so everybody's not trying to get the same dogs all at the same time. Whereas service dog, they just run a different schedule, different plan. Now their team has grown quite a bit in the last year, so now they split into 2 teams. So maybe in the future that might change a little bit, but we'll still have the same process now.
Anybody else?
You mentioned you take the dogs that score 5 and below, so the ones that score higher, do they still go to Canine Fitness, or they just have a different type of play type exercises?
Those dogs are getting a lot more enrichment from the volunteers that are coming in, specifically signed up to do enrichment, but they don't come through the program. Hopefully, eventually, we'll be able to take all of them, but not at this point yet. Our team's just not big enough.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, thank y'all.